The message arrived during the third rotation of our home world's smallest moon, casting an eerie purple glow through Ambassador Zora's crystalline office chamber. The hollow projector hummed to life, displaying the unmistakable seal of the Terran Alliance, a stylized Earth surrounded by olive branches and starships. Zorax's peripheral sensors tingled with anticipation as the encryption dissolved. To the honourable representatives of the Nixon confluence, the message began, the universal translator struggling to convey the formal tones of human diplomatic speech. You have been selected as one of 3 species to receive an invitation to Earth in the coming stellar cycle. Zorax's crystalline exoskeleton chimed softly as she vibrated with shock. In the centuries since humanity had burst onto the galactic scene, they had maintained Earth as an absolute sanctuary. No non-human species had ever been permitted past the Kepier defence line. Their colonies and trading posts dotted the galaxy, but Earth remained a mystery that sparked endless speculation. Administrator, Zorax called to her AI assistant, verify authentication codes immediately. She didn't dare hope this was real until every security protocol had been satisfied. Authentication confirmed at the highest levels, the administrator responded after several tense moments. The quantum signature matches known Terran diplomatic channels. This invitation is genuine. Zorax initiated her species equivalent of a deep breath, a momentary reorganization of her crystalline matrix. The message continued with coordinates, protocols, and requirements for the delegation. The humans were nothing if not thorough in their planning. Your delegation will be permitted 1 diplomatic vessel and an escort ship, the message detailed. Any deviation from these parameters will be considered a hostile act. The implicit threat was clear. Earth's defences would not hesitate to atomize any unauthorized approach. Within hours, the news had reached the highest levels of the Nixon government. The crystalline council chamber buzzed with the harmonic resonance of dozens of council members debating simultaneously. First Speaker List's central crystal glowed with authority as she called for order. Ambassador Zorax, List's voice rang through the chamber. You have dealt most directly with the humans. What could have prompted this unprecedented invitation? Zorax advanced to the speaking platform, her form shifting to project confidence despite her uncertainty. The humans are methodical in everything they do, she began. While they freely share many technologies, they maintain significant advantages in key areas, particularly in spacecraft design and weapons technology. This invitation cannot be merely diplomatic. Could it be a trap? Asked Defence Coordinator Venn, his warrior-cased crystals glinting darkly. The humans have never needed tricks to demonstrate their military superiority, Zorax countered. When they fought the Drachnid incursion, they did so openly and with overwhelming force. No, this is something else. The debate continued for several cycles, but the conclusion was inevitable. They could not refuse the invitation. The potential benefits were too great and the diplomatic consequences of rejection could be severe. The humans did not make such gestures lightly. Preparation began immediately. Zorax selected her team carefully, a mix of diplomatic, scientific, and military expertise. Their fastest diplomatic vessel, the Crystal Dawn, was equipped for the journey. The escort vessel selected was the Stellar Shard, a modern warship that would hopefully not appear too threatening to their hosts. As Zorax supervised the loading of the diplomatic gifts, rare resonating crystals that held the harmonious memories of 1,000 years of Nixon culture, she received another message. This one was more personal, from her human diplomatic counterpart on Proxima Station. Dear Zorax, it read, I heard the news. Remember that while we humans love our protocols and ceremonies, we appreciate directness. You were chosen for a reason. Safe journey. James Chen, Earth Diplomatic Corps. The message only deepened the mystery, but it calmed some of Zorax's anxiety. In her decades of diplomatic service had found humans to be surprisingly straightforward for such a militarily powerful species. They kept many secrets, yes, but they rarely engaged in pointless diplomatic theatre. 2 cycles later, as the crystal dawn prepared for departure, Zorak stood in the ship's observatory, watching the crystalline spires of the capital city glitter below. The weight of responsibility pressed against her matrix. Whatever waited for them at Earth would change the future of her species. She could feel it in her deepest facets. Ambassador, her administrator chimed, "All preparations are complete. The stellar shard reports ready for escort duty." "Very well," Zorax responded, her crystals aligning with purpose. "Signal our departure to traffic control. Set course for the Sol system. Let us see what humanity wishes to show us." As the ships lifted from the surface, their crystal fusion drives cast rainbow refractions across the city below. Zorax organized her thoughts into the precise patterns that had served her so well in diplomatic service. They had a long journey ahead, nearly 30 days of faster-than-light travel through some of the most heavily patrolled space in the galaxy. Whatever waited for them at humanity's homeworld, they would face it with the clarity and precision that had made the Nixon confluence one of the most respected civilizations in known space. As their ships entered the first jump point, Zorax began composing her preliminary report to the Council, knowing that every detail of this historic journey would be analysed for generations to come. The Crystal Dawn shuddered as it dropped out of faster-than-light travel for the 7th time in as many days. Routine jump point verification, Zorax told herself, trying to calm her resonating matrix. But this time was different. The Stellar Shard's warning came just as their sensors recalibrated. Ambassador, multiple warships detected. Signatures matched Drachnid raiders. 3 predatory vessels emerged from behind a stellar debris field, their organic metal hulls gleaming with malevolent purpose. The Drachnid, bitter from their defeat by human forces, had taken to attacking diplomatic vessels, especially those heading toward human space. "Evasive patterns," Zorax commanded. "Signal the Stellar Shard to take defensive position." She knew their escort was powerful, but 3 Drachnid raiders could overwhelm them before they could reach the next jump point. The first plasma bolt streaked past their bow, its energy causing disturbing resonances through the Crystal Dawn's hull. The Stellar Shard moved to intercept, its crystalline weapons charging with deadly purpose. But before either side could fully engage, space itself seemed to tear open. A massive vessel materialized between them and the raiders, sleek, dark, and unmistakably human in design. No navigation lights, no visible weapons, just smooth curves that seemed to drink in starlight. A voice cut through all communication channels. "This is HMS Shadowkeeper. You are in protected space. Stand down immediately." The effect on the raiders was immediate. Their ships turned sharply, organic hulls rippling with fear. But the human vessel gave them no chance to retreat. 3 precise shots, invisible to sensors until impact, reduced the Drachnid ships to expanding clouds of debris. Crystal Dawn. This is Shadowkeeper. "Welcome to the Sol Defense Perimeter. We'll be your escort for the remainder of your journey." The message was delivered with the casual confidence that had become humanity's trademark. Over the next 20 days, they witnessed more displays of human military presence. Silent ships appearing and disappearing without warning, vast sensor networks that could track a single shuttle across light years. The stories of Earth's defensive capabilities, it seemed, had not been exaggerated. "Ambassador," her administrator reported on their final approach, "I've detected 47 different human defense platforms in range. Most are using technology we can't even classify." Zorax absorbed this information with growing anticipation. Each demonstration of human power made their invitation seem more significant. What could they want to show a species so far behind their technological level? As they passed Neptune, a new escort arrived, a gleaming white vessel larger than any they had seen before. Its design was different from the military ships, emphasizing elegance over stealth. This finally felt like a diplomatic welcome. The human ship's commander introduced himself via holoscreen, a gesture of courtesy, since most human communications remain text-based. Ambassador Zorax, I'm Captain Chen. Welcome to Sol. Your journey is almost over, but I must ask you to prepare yourself. What you're about to see, well, let's just say everyone remembers their first view of Earth. He wasn't exaggerating. As they cleared the orbit of Mars, the full scope of human civilization became apparent. Orbital rings circled Earth like giant halos. Space stations the size of small moons housed millions. Shipyards stretched thousands of kilometers, building vessels that dwarfed anything the Nixon had ever constructed. And there, hanging in space like a jewel, was Earth itself. Blue oceans, white clouds, green and brown land masses, looking deceptively peaceful despite the massive defense grid protecting it. By the first crystal, Zorax whispered, her matrix vibrating with awe. Now she understood why humans had kept their homeworld private. It wasn't fear or secrecy. It was mercy. Letting other species see this too soon would have crushed their confidence, their ambitions. Captain Chen's voice returned, tinged with pride and amusement. Ambassador, you have clearance to dock at Orbital Station Alpha, and Zorax, welcome to Earth. The docking procedure at Orbital Station Alpha was unlike anything in Nixon space. No tractor beams, no conventional guidance systems. Instead, the Crystal Dawn was enveloped in what the humans called a gravitational cord, invisible but irresistible, guiding them with perfect precision. Fascinating, muttered Chief Engineer KX, her crystals flickering with excitement. They've weaponized space-time itself. The welcoming committee waited in a massive chamber that put their grandest crystalline halls to shame. Zorax led her delegation forward, noting how the humans had accommodated their crystalline biology. The temperature and humidity were perfect for Nixon comfort. Admiral Sarah Chen, apparently Captain Chen's sister, stepped forward to greet them. Ambassador Zorax, on behalf of the Terran Alliance, welcome to Earth. She was tall for a human, with the confident bearing of someone used to commanding fleets. The formal greetings went smoothly, until cultural attaché Mirax attempted to perform the traditional Nixon harmony greeting, a subtle resonance meant to show respect. The sound waves triggered something in the station's defense systems. Suddenly, hidden panels snapped open and weapon ports appeared throughout the chamber. Instead of panic, Admiral Chen merely smiled. Our apologies. Perhaps we should continue this discussion in the shielded diplomatic suite. Her casual response to what could have been a diplomatic disaster spoke volumes about human self-assurance. The diplomatic suite turned out to be a vast chamber with a transparent floor, offering a stunning view of Earth below. As they settled into specially designed crystalline chairs, Zorax noticed something odd about the humans present. Unlike in their usual diplomatic meetings, these humans wore no powered armor and carried no visible weapons. You're wondering about our lack of protection, Admiral Chen said, reading Zorax's body language with surprising accuracy. Here, in the heart of our territory, we have no need for such things. Which brings us to why you're here. The Admiral activated a holographic display, showing a ship design unlike anything Zorax had ever seen. This is the Starcutter-class vessel. We've built 2 of them specifically for the Nixan confluence. The design was a perfect fusion of human and Nixan technology. The organic curves of human ships blended with crystalline structures that would resonate perfectly with Nixan crews. But the capabilities listed were impossible. Faster-than-light travel without jump points, weapons that could reshape gravity itself, and defences that bent probability. "Admiral," Zorax said carefully, "this technology is far beyond anything you've shared with other species. Why us? Why now?" Sarah Chen's expression grew serious. "Because you earned it. Over the past 50 years, we've watched how every species has used the basic technology we've shared. Most tried to reverse engineer it for weapons. Others attempted to spy on us. A few even planned attacks, thinking they had decoded our weaknesses." She gestured to the view of Earth below. "The Nixan confluence did something different. You took our fusion technology and built hospitals. Our communication advances went to schools. Even our basic weapons technology was adapted for asteroid mining, not war. You proved yourselves worthy of trust." Zorax's matrix hummed with pride, but also concern. "Such advanced ships will change the balance of power in our sector of space." "That's exactly the point," another human stepped forward, James Chen, her old diplomatic contact. "The galaxy is becoming more dangerous. We need allies we can trust, species who will use power responsibly. Consider this an invitation to a more exclusive alliance." The implications were staggering. This wasn't just about ships, it was about elevation to a new level of galactic politics. The Nixan were being invited into humanity's inner circle. The next 3 days were a blur of technical briefings and demonstrations. The Nixan engineers could barely contain their excitement as human technicians explained systems that seemed to defy physics itself. "The crystalline matrix of your biology actually makes you perfect for this technology," explained Dr. Maya Chen, the project's lead scientist. Zorax was beginning to suspect half of Earth's leadership was related. "Your natural resonance patterns sync perfectly with the quantum drive systems." They watched in awe as one of the new ships, Dawnbreaker, performed maneuvers that should have been impossible. It moved through space like light through crystal, appearing to be in multiple places simultaneously before resolving into a single location. "The ship doesn't just move through space," Maya explained. "It negotiates with it. The crystalline components, grown from modified Nixan templates, allow for quantum-level communication with the fabric of space-time itself." The weapons demonstrations were equally impressive. The second ship, Crystal Fist, engaged a series of automated drones. Instead of conventional energy weapons, it projected fields that simply denied the enemy ships their right to exist in that section of space-time. "We call it probability denial," Admiral Chen said with a slight smile, "much cleaner than explosions." But it was the defensive capabilities that truly shocked them. They watched as an entire battle group of automated attackers fired on the Dawnbreaker. The shots seemed to pass through the ship as if it were a hologram, or bent around it like light around a gravitational lens. "The ship predicts incoming attacks and shifts slightly out of phase with normal space-time," Maya explained. "It's not so much armor as it is refusing to be where the attack lands." During a break in the demonstrations, Zorax found herself alone with James Chen in one of the station's observation lounges. The Earth hung below them, clouds swirling in patterns that seemed almost crystalline from this distance. "There's more to this than just rewarding our good behavior, isn't there?" Zorax asked. James nodded, his expression growing serious. "We've detected something coming from the galactic core, something old and vast, and not particularly friendly. Humanity could face it alone. But we prefer not to. The ships aren't just a gift," Zorax realized. "They're an investment. In survival, yours and ours." James agreed. "We've spent centuries preparing Earth's defenses, but this threat, it's going to take more than just weapons. It's going to take allies we can trust absolutely. Partners who understand that power is a tool, not a goal." Zorax's matrix resonated with the weight of his words. "When? Soon, decades at most. These ships aren't just for show. They're a crash course in the kind of technology we're all going to need." He turned to face her fully. Your people are ready for this responsibility, Zorax. The question is, are you ready to help us carry it? The journey home started quietly enough. The Dawnbreaker and Crystal Fist, now crewed by hastily trained Nixon crews, slipped through space with their escort ships. The Crystal Dawn had been upgraded as well, though not to the same degree as the new vessels. They were a day from Nixan space when the attack came. A Drachnid battle fleet, 30 ships strong, dropped out of jump space around them. This was no raiding party. This was an invasion force that must have been waiting for their return. Multiple targeting locks, the Stellar Shard reported. They're charging weapons. But Zorax felt no fear. She had spent the last week understanding exactly what humanity had given them. Dawnbreaker, Crystal Fist, initiate Defense Protocol Chen Alpha. Show them what these ships can do. What followed wasn't really a battle. It was a demonstration. The Drachnid ships fired everything they had. Energy beams, plasma torpedoes, kinetic rounds, all converging on the two new ships. Nothing connected. The ships danced through space like light through crystal, each movement precise and inevitable. Then they responded. Space itself seemed to ripple around the Drachnid vessels. Some simply winked out of existence, denied their place in reality. Others found themselves suddenly occupying the same space as their own weapons. A few tried to retreat, only to find that probability had decided they'd never make it to their jump points. In under 3 minutes, the largest Drachnid attack fleet seen in a decade had been reduced to scattered atoms and object lessons. The Dawnbreaker and Crystal Fist emerged without a scratch, their crystalline hulls humming with barely used power. Send a message to the Drachnid Empire, Zorax commanded. The Nixan confluence is under Earth's protection now. We suggest they adjust their plans accordingly. As they resumed their journey home, Zorax reviewed the data James had given her before departure. It contained details about the threat from the galactic core, vast, ancient intelligence that saw younger species as resources to be harvested. Humanity had known about it for centuries, preparing quietly while letting other species think they were just paranoid isolationists. Now Zorax understood the true gift they'd been given. It wasn't just the ships, the technology, or even the alliance. It was purpose. Humanity had chosen them as partners in the greatest challenge the galaxy had ever faced. The Nixan capital came into view, its crystalline spires reaching toward the stars. Soon she would brief the Council on everything they'd learned. There would be preparations to make, technologies to master, strategies to plan. But for now, Zorax stood on the Dawnbreaker's observation deck, watching her homeworld grow larger. The ship's crystalline hull resonated with her own matrix, creating harmonies that no other species could hear. In that moment, she finally understood why humans had kept Earth hidden for so long. It wasn't the technology that made them special. It wasn't their weapons, defenses, or vast orbital constructions. It was their ability to look at a species centuries behind them, technologically, and see not subjects or servants, but potential allies. Administrator, she said softly, begin composing my report to the Council. Title it, The Future is Crystalline Clear. As the ships moved into orbit, their human-made crystalline hulls catching the light of the binary suns, Zorax allowed herself to feel something she hadn't experienced since her first days as a diplomat. Pure, unreserved hope for the future. The galaxy was about to change, and thanks to humanity's trust, the Nixan confluence would help shape that change. The journey to Earth had indeed ended with an upgrade, not just to their ships, but to their entire civilization's destiny.